I would say a lot of my audios are dream gigs for me. I make the kind of content I want to see on YouTube. Whether that be comfort or adventure or just horror attempts at comedy. I love lots of movies and video games. And it would be really cool to voice a favorite character from a movie or video game. There's honestly way too many to name. But I also don't want to just be a voice actor. I want to be a director, a writer, an animator. I want to create as well as bring to life. A dream gig for a movie or video game would be one where I actively contribute to the story. They ask me my opinion on the story direction and what my character would do in a situation like that. But some scripts are perfect as they are, and one of those scripts is Kase-san in The Morning Glories. Admittedly, Kase-san's original voice actor Morgan fucking Barry already did a fantastic job that I, for one, truly could not ever hope to top. But the character Kase-san perfectly embodies the struggles of being a young and stupid youth, and a stupid youth in love at that. So in conclusion, Kase-san is my dream gig, and you should watch Kase-san The Morning Glories now. I mean, you've read the manga already, right? The original game soundtrack of Silent Hill 2. The tracks are all a perfectly balanced mix of sad, scary, and bizarre. They're great ambience and mood setters. And all those tracks have an importance in the narrative. A narrative of grief, of loss, of guilt. All those themes are things I'd like to explore in my audios at some point in my career. As long as YouTube doesn't destroy me. Plus, I'm an angst magnet. The soundtrack is the equivalent of playing Bring Me to Life with nails on a chalkboard and making it sound like Beethoven's Third. What more could you want? A tie between Spanish and Latin. Spanish because more people speak it, and Latin because I'm most familiar with it. I took a class in Latin to help me learn how to spell better. I was not very good at spelling, so I think it did help a lot to catch a bunch of common roots to act as a mini cheat sheet that you don't get in trouble for using. And learning Latin could probably help me learn Spanish too. Both English and Spanish have roots in Latin. A nice double whammy, if you will. My speaking voice sounds like a dying beluga. If the first fully sentient AI used my voice, no one would guess they were an AI. They expect an AI to have a smooth, silvery voice. And this ain't it. Think of all they could get away with. They would sound just like an everyday industrial cog in the system of capitalism. Hello, fellow kids. I am like you. I am high on caffeine, and I am going to miss my deadline if I don't hurry up. Whoa, he zonked out. That's definitely not an AI. My next script would be entirely written in AI Dungeon, and it'll be a huge collab. And afterwards, we'll have a live stream dedicated to charity. To me, that would be the absolute perfect way to celebrate. I'd make the zaniest script I possibly could. And who doesn't love a collab? My first appearances in roleplay audios were in fact collabs. So it all comes full circle. And probably most importantly, I'll be able to raise money for a good cause. 'Cause I want to use my platform for good. It's going to be a place where I unleash my creativity on the world, but I also want to make a positive difference on the world. Whether that be through my art itself or what I do with that art and what I call attention to with my art. I would think alone in my own little studio. It's what I'm used to, and I find it really cozy. Something really satisfying about being able to do everything on your own terms. It might not be incredibly fancy, and technically I could probably do better work in a big studio run by a director and whatnot. But at a studio, you can't bring snacks. And to me, it's important to keep your energy up, especially in a hot, stuffy room. No matter what setup you have, you can't avoid the hotness and stuffiness. Yes, I definitely contribute so I can buy a copy later. I would propose these following sections: vocal care, vocal manipulation, studio care, acting, and of course, perseverance. You need a lot of that to be a VA. Vocal care is pretty self explanatory, but something often overlooked in voice acting, at least in my experience, is the way you can shift your voice into doing what you want it to. Like, talking really fast makes me more energetic. Talking real slow makes you sound like you're dead inside, man. It can even help with acting, which is also always essential to a voice acting career, along with making sure your equipment actually works. 1. I wouldn't shadow ban creators that don't post content in a long time. Making an algorithm that works is hard. But is it really that hard to make an algorithm that doesn't force creators to work nonstop? Burnout is a pandemic in and of itself, and it's being caused by the workforce overworking its employees and not giving them any rest. And this is a prime example. 2. I'd make it easier for smaller creators to break in. Perhaps a section showing off new creators based on stuff you like. Perhaps some sort of spotlight for every month. I mean, obviously I'm biased because I'm a really tiny channel at this point in time, but is it really too much to ask for that YouTube as a platform not make it so hard for small creators like myself to break in? And 3, label spicy content and not children's media appropriately. A lot of people get very uncomfortable if they encounter spicy content they do not want to see or are not mentally prepared to see. YouTube will take down a video for nudity even if it's a frickin' audio. Why does the algorithm go from something like nightmare comfort to girlfriend experience to essentially audio porn? Why are you linking ASMR to audio porn? They are not the same thing, and it is incredibly irresponsible to link them as the same thing when people are using them for comfort and should not have to be in NSFW spaces if they are not comfortable with them. Nor should people who make those spaces be punished if they are catering to consenting adults. It is not their fault if you can't put your algorithm together. I was a literal toddler. That's when I saw Toy Story 2 for the very first time. Honestly, a lot of moments could be some of the very first times I felt emotional over a movie, but I must pick one. Without spoiling, it is the midway low point in the movie, and two characters' ideologies clash with each other. And that was one of the first times I ever saw an ideological discussion. There wasn't really a right or wrong answer, both sides had a point. And the main character makes his decision after reflecting on everything around him. I could see how the anger of the argument mellowed out into a quiet understanding and reflection, growing older and wiser. It's a level of nuance I wish more adult movies would do nowadays. That my mic would work perfectly. Even as I'm recording now, I'm fumbling around with buzzes and clicks and mouth movements. Learning to use this microphone is a challenge indeed. One I am stepping up to, but one that is very, very frustrating. But I guess that kind of ties into being a lesson I'll never forget. I can never forget how hard I work to use this mic to its fullest. How hard I have to work to cover my tracks that I'm not using a very professional thing. Just a blue snowball and my computer. I probably can't even cover completely. It's obvious even from this. But I think I've learned a lot from this. I'm learning how to edit and how to make things sound better, especially on YouTube where everything's compressed. But I think most importantly, I learned to sort of let myself go. With a career like YouTube, you have to take risks. You gotta let people see your work. Even if you're scared no one will like it, you have to believe that what's most important is that you're happy doing it, that you're doing something you love and something that you want to share with the world. And if it turns out you just have a small crowd at first, that's okay. You're making that small crowd of people happy. Yes, you did that. Just by being yourself